Finance Minister presents a ministerial statement on the first quarter of the Gambia's 2020 budget before the National Assembly. Gambia's Transport Union has given ultimatum to government to lift all emergency measures on the sector. And African leaders call for more effective free trade to revitalize the continent's economy. This and more coming on The World Today. Hello, this is Africa TV. You are watching the World Today News Bulletin. I am Amadou Kante. Many thanks for joining us, and now the news in detail. Now, the Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs has presented this statement to show the implementation and monitoring of the 2020 budget at the National Assembly in Banjul. The oral ministerial presentation identified the top 3 spending ministries with increased in budget in different sectors of this year's budget compared with that of the previous year. Aminata Job has more in this report.
In response to the customary arrangements, the Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs on Monday presented the ministerial statement on the implementation and monitoring of the 2020 budget before the National Assembly in Banjul. Mamburinjai presented that the Ministries of Health, Work and Infrastructure, and Basic and Secondary Education were identified as the top 3 spending ministries pertaining to the government budget execution as of April 2020.
The top 3 spending ministries during the period under review are Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education, $916 million, Ministry of Works and Infrastructure, $478 million, and the Ministry of Health and Social Welfare, $372 million. Honorable Speaker, in terms of absorptive capacity, the Ministry of Works and Infrastructure has absorbed 73% of its approved budget as at end April 2020.
According to the National Assembly Standing Order 94, the Vice President or the Minister responsible for finance shall at least once during each session of the National Assembly make an oral ministerial statement on the implementation and monitoring of the annual budget. Minister Njai pointed out that other recurrent expenditure has increased from $994 million in the 2019 to $1.2 billion in 2020.
Honorable Speaker, other recurrent expenditure increased from $994 million in 2019 to $1.2 billion in 2020, registering a growth of 22%, whilst 22% of its approved budget was spent during the same period under review. Government did allocate an additional $500 million to the Ministry of Health under other recurrent, which was obtained by reallocating budget votes from various budget.
Meanwhile, capital development has increased by 348% relative to last year, from $153 million in 2019 to $687 million in 2020. Similarly, government expenditure on land as of April has increased to more than $5 billion, with 29% higher than the expenditure for the same period last year.
The total government local fund expenditure as at end April 2020 reached $5.08 billion, 29% more than the same period last year when government expenditure reached $3.95 billion Gambian dollars. Out of the total GLF expenditure, 24% was spent on other recurrent, 26% on personnel emolument, 24% on subvention, 12% on debt service, and 14% on capital development.
According to the ministerial statement, the first quarter of 2020 presents an increase in the budget of food and food services from $50 million in 2019 to $115 million in 2020. The quantum jump is being justified to the expansion of school feeding program under the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am Absegay.
Yeah, of course, this report was filed in there by Hafsa Gay instead of Aminata Job, as I mentioned earlier on. And from that report there, next we head to Nigeria, where the entertainment industry is or has returned to work after being shut down for 2 months due to the COVID-19. The multi-billion-dollar industry, Nollywood, being the largest employer, was pushed to observe the temporal break. Here's more details of that in this report.
The cameras are rolling again on the set of the popular series Halita, as Nigeria restarts its entertainment industry after the COVID-19 lockdown. The suspense-filled story on social issues, trafficking and justice has garnered viewers across Africa. For lead actor Mofe Duncan, it's a delight to be back at work.
The fact that I'm back on set is great because, one thing, it's good to see people. It's good to learn that people survived the virus, or a lot of us who have come back are still alive and are healthy and things like that. Also, it's what I love doing. I love being in front of the camera. I think that a lot of us have suppressed our creativity a lot because we've not been able to express ourselves.
Nollywood is rated the second largest employer in Nigeria, with more than 1 million people working in the industry. The industry produces an average 50 movies weekly, second only to India's Bollywood. But all of that is changing as producers cut back on costs and crews.
Social distancing thing is pretty much the reason why you have to cut down. I give an example. We have a 70-man crew that's been cut down to 12.
Not just that, operations are different now as producers ensure they adhere to other safety guidelines.
We have the temperature reader, where we get to make sure that everybody walking in here is within the compliant temperature.
Nollywood movies have gained even more global traction, featuring on digital platforms like Netflix. The industry generates an average $590 million annually. That represents 0.21% of the country's GDP. Many worry that future gains could be hampered by the coronavirus outbreak. But this could also be an opportunity, forcing industry players to innovate when it comes to producing content.
And from that report in Nigeria, we come back home because the Gambia's Minister of Health has called for more volunteers to consider regular donation of blood to strengthen blood bankers in all health facilities. His request came in commemoration of the 2020 World Blood Donor Day, meant to raise awareness of the need for safe blood and also to thank blood donors for their life-saving gift. Let's have more details of that in this report.
Gambia's Minister for Health has said that the need for blood remains high in health facilities in the present moment more than ever before across the country. Dr. Ahmadu Lamin Samate made these remarks on Sunday during the 15th anniversary of the World Blood Donor Day, aimed at raising awareness of the need for safe blood and to thank donors for their voluntary and life-saving gifts.
However, the need for blood in our health facilities still remains high, even during pandemics. The continuous high demand for blood transfusion, mainly caused by complications of pregnancy and childbirth, anemia in children, mainly due to malaria and malnutrition, hemoglobin disorders like sickle cell disease, increased number of accidents and emergencies, as well as the increasing demand for surgical interventions. And this continue even during pandemics.
The theme for this year is centered on safe blood, safe lives, with the slogan "Give blood and make the world a healthier place." According to the WHO, blood donations are needed all over the world to ensure individuals and communities have access to safe and quality blood in both normal and emergency situations. Dr. Samate noted that the year 2020 has seen a remarkable challenge in the emergence of COVID-19, which goes further to affect health services all over the world. For that reason, people were not able to gather to celebrate volunteers and encourage more people to support the blood bank.
Finally, I encourage all Gambians and non-Gambians living in the Gambia to donate blood voluntarily and regularly while observing safety measures. Blood saves lives even during pandemics. Give blood and save the lives of our people.
June 14 every year, countries celebrate the World Blood Donor Day to discuss access to safe blood, which is considered as a privilege of the few. Most low and middle income countries struggle to make safe blood available because donations are low and equipment to test blood is scarce. Globally, 42% of the blood is collected in high-income countries, which are home to only 16% of the world's population. For iAfrica News, I am Julden Suare.
Many thanks there, Julden, reporting. And from her report there, we will now take a break and come back shortly with the remaining update stories. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Welcome back. You are watching the World Today News Bulletin on iAfrica TV, and now to the rest of the stories. Now, the Gambia Transport Union has threatened to go on sit-down strike by next week Monday if the government fails to lift emergency regulations on the public transport sector. The Gambia government eased certain restrictions that featured reopening of places of worship and the market, but the public transport sector is still confined to the emergency measures. Speaking at a press conference on Monday, Umar Sise, president of the Gambia Transport Union, said after several consultations with relevant authorities on means to mitigate the pressure on drivers, it couldn't yield any result.
As far as the Gambia Transport is concerned, FIBE on the 22nd June 2020, that's Monday coming. Soon demand, so the government is not fulfilled, we are going for sit-down strike for the country. Both passenger and commercial vehicle and trucks, both of them are going to sit-down strike until the government will our demands. The motor of all the journalists. Look at you from where? We are not here to challenge the government or to challenge the individual or the groups. We are here to promote the free movement of goods and people in the country.
Umar Sise, president of the Gambia Transport Union, speaking there. Next to South Africa, where the lockdown in the country has caused an unprecedented challenge on the real estate sector since the players could only work from home. Business owners rely on digital platforms to reach out of their customers across the world. Here's more details of that.
The first 6 weeks of South Africa's lockdown was a trying time for the real estate sector. Homes could not be bought or sold, and rental deals were all placed on hold.
And we weren't allowed to take people out to go and have a look at properties. And it was only from the 8th of May when people were actually allowed to move. To not earn income for 6-8 weeks was quite devastating. So we are very happy to be back at work. In that time that we were in the hard lockdown, we weren't able to hand over any properties that had been signed from before the lockdown.
Estate agents stayed in contact with prospective clients from home via phone and emails. Leapfrog's Tanya Naidu managed to ink a virtual contract before restrictions were eased.
We'd send them just videos and say, this is what the property is. We'd go through what the spaces looks like. And I actually had closed the deal. We did it via a video chat with the principal of the company. So it was a 3-way chat. And yeah, it was great. We actually did that.
As the market picks up, big spenders are holding back. But first-time buyers on the hunt for bargains are taking advantage of interest rates at almost 50-year lows.
The areas that I deal with is not far from the townships. A lot of them are coming from there. And that's exciting for me. I'm getting calls and I'm saying, but some of the people are saying, my house is small. I can't do everything I need to do. I need to, cook. I need to work. I need to make sure the kids are seen to, as in homeschooling. I need a better space. The kids need to run around.
COVID-19 has, however, changed the business environment. Virtual showrooms are becoming more popular and viewing procedures have been tightened.
There's a procedure form that we send through before we take them out to view. That's basically shows what the procedure needs to be at the viewing. So no touching of surfaces, move through as quickly as possible, sort of one person at a time, and to make the viewing sort of as quick as possible without sort of detracting from their experience.
Despite the lockdown, property still remains a viable investment in South Africa, but a recovery depends on how quickly restrictions are lifted.
The impact of COVID-19, of course, they're hitting the real estate industry in South Africa. And now, finally, despite the numerous challenges posed by COVID-19, African Union leaders are optimistic that African continent free trade area will help revitalize the economies of Africa. Therefore, AU urged African countries to ease trade restrictions and barriers for the free trade area to work better. The continent free trade aims to create a single market for goods and services with free movement of goods and services to pave the way for the African customs unions. Let's have more details of that in this report.
Come post-COVID-19, Africa is banking on its continental free trade area. Studies show that the free trade area has the potential to increase growth, raise welfare, and stimulate industrial development on the continent.
African countries now have to engage in value-adding activities for their commodities, and they'll find a large market in the African continental free trade area of 1.2 billion people with a young population, which offers a very huge consumer base. So this is how we see the African continental free trade area. And immediately the opportunities arise. Let's reignite our unit through the African continental free trade area so that we facilitate the emergence of trade across Africa using this platform. That's the only way of ensuring that we regenerate our economies faster.
Already, due to the impact of COVID-19, hundreds of thousands of jobs could be lost across the continent. But the current reality is also providing opportunities for African countries. Accelerated intra-regional trade is one of them.
Another aspect that is emerging is that as a result of lockdowns, a lot of young entrepreneurs are coming across Africa to increase their participation in e-commerce. Because if you walk around a lot of African countries, the supermarkets are there. They are being sanitized every day. But few people have the courage to go there because they don't want to be infected. So the only way to deliver products to the people is through e-commerce. And when you deliver, then the people who are receiving the products can sanitize those products. So there's an opportunity for e-commerce.
The African Union is urging African states to ease trade restrictions and barriers for the continental free trade area to deliver better for member states. The good news is the Africa Centers for Disease Control has rolled out a safe economy unlocking strategy for countries.
We've issued guidelines for countries on how to unlock the systems and economy in a stepwise manner, but that has to be backed by an aggressive and bold measures to implement PAC, which is underpinned by three areas: ability to scale up testing, ability to deploy large number of foot soldiers so that they can conduct contact tracing, and preparing healthcare facilities to treat and take care of large number of patients.
The African Continental Free Trade Area, launched 2 years ago at the African Union Summit in Kigali, Rwanda, was launched to be implemented from 1st July 2020. But this has been postponed until 2021 because of the impact of COVID-19 pandemic. Experts say However mouth-watering the Africa Free Trade Area plans look on paper, successful implementation is still key.
The African Union, they are calling for more collaborations for Africa or for the betterment of Africa. Well, viewers, with that, we finally brings this news bulletin to an end. But for more details on this and other stories, you can also log on our website on africa.tv. Once again, many thanks for the pleasure of your company. Thanks for watching. Stay safe and bye for now.
Mon kontaan boy mu nekk boy nga ñim bata mu be taki tubabu du boy boy nga nakko do mu be do ku boy nga kina ñin kendi moy boy pour ay bungulo ñi boro na bu hani lento am futa ji boy de jibe lu njumala ya fuñu koy babun lola ama me ila bu jibe abadame jara foy tele ta fu la ñi mam baluwo kalam mu baluwo fo baluwo ko budlo ko fa nan kele boy ñim bu ma jala be ñamende abe mu baluwo la do boy
ñin kunna suniata ta www.baluwo.com anim baluwo isela bulloran jorangol be sang anila kudola asatare mambata jorangol membu ko semento kenyo babarol nil peruol woni nga nyon jamal ta baluwo.com yin jorangol be sang ila dinkira bado adungite batala je anim baluwo ifangole marate la kudola